Welcome, everybody, to our November Conversations on Brain Health. My name is Katherine Kiefer, and I'm the Neuroscience Program Manager at Rush University Medical Center, as well as the co-founder and president of the Brain Health Center of Iraqis, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I'm super excited about the topic that we have this evening, speaking about the practice of gratitude and learning some healthy recipes for the holiday season. Tonight we will explore the power of gratitude and how it makes it meaningful, hopefully how it will be a meaningful part of your life. Little word stumble there, excuse me. We will learn why incorporating gratitude practice can positively impact your mental and emotional health. What does the research say about gratitude? And we'll break down some of the fundamentals of building an effective practice of gratitude. For our second half of this webinar session, we'll be joined by a trained chef and certified nutrition consultant who will provide us some healthy tips and recipes for the holiday season. Our two speakers for tonight are Adrienne Castillo and Laura Morris. A little bit about our two speakers. Adrienne Castillo is a family nurse practitioner at the Rush Multiple Sclerosis Center with over 36 years of neuronursing experience. She is certified as a lifestyle medicine practitioner and heads the Rush Brain Health Clinic. Adrienne thrives in a space where prescribing naps is normal and usual, which I kind of love as well. She is passionate about helping people living with MS make necessary lifestyle changes that facilitate best outcomes. And I can speak to many patients that have indicated how wonderful it's been seeing Adrienne in clinic. In her spare time, Adrienne enjoys practicing a healthy lifestyle. So she practices what she preaches. She spends lots of free time with her 10-year-old granddaughter, Luna, and hopes to be a role model on how to achieve a balanced and healthy lifestyle. Laura Morris is a professional trained chef, certified personal trainer, and certified nutrition consultant with a deep commitment to brain healthy living. She is the co-author of 2 books on nutrition and dementia prevention. The first one being Diet for the Mind, and The Official Mind Diet, which is written by Dr. Martha Claire Morris, which is her mother, and Jennifer Ventrelli, another Rush colleague. Laura specializes in translating cutting-edge research into real-life strategies that support cognitive health through food and movement. I love it. Through workshops, culinary demos, and her signature Mind Diet programs, she partners with individuals, organizations, and healthcare systems to deliver engaging, evidence-based education that makes brain healthy eating approachable and enjoyable. Very important. She also leads professional training for clinicians and caregivers seeking to integrate Mind Diet principles into care and wellness settings. So we've worked with Laura Morris in the past. For those of you who are longstanding participants for Conversations on Brain Health, Laura and Jennifer Ventrelli did our summer series now 2 summers ago regarding the Mind Diet. So that's always available for anybody on our YouTube channel to view those previous recordings. So on that note, I know I've taken up some time here. I want to turn things over to Adrienne, who will kick us off with a presentation on the practice of gratitude. So Adrienne, I will unmute you and bring up your presentation. Dr. Miravalle, was there anything you wanted to add?
Actually, I'm super excited, grateful for both Adrian and Laura for being here. Is kind of like the highlight of the season. I was just saying before we went live that this became my acquired favorite holiday. I didn't grow up with Thanksgiving, and I learned to love it because it's a mix between family and friend and good food. So I hope that today we can learn the science behind practicing gratitude and how beneficial that is for our brain health, as well as review some of the new ways of recreating the tradition of Thanksgiving following the Mind Diet. So, with that, I'm just excited to see what Adrian has to say today.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I am so pleased that we are here together tonight. I'm equally as excited as to present the practice of gratitude, but who am I kidding? I am mostly just here for the food, or I guess in this instance, the food demonstration. So, Kathy, you may advance the slide. So let's get started by asking, what is gratitude? Is it more than just saying thank you? Or is it more than just making a list of how you feel blessed? It is. It's a deliberate shift of attention from what's lacking in life to what is life giving. It's a mindset that orients us toward connecting with ourselves and others. Kathy, you can advance. Thank you. So, gratitude is not just a feeling, but it's a feeling and a practice. So, in this first picture, it represents an interaction between a man and a boy. Looks like the man is giving a gift to the boy. And to any observer, that would evoke some sort of positive emotion. The second picture shows that observer reflecting on the emotion that that interaction just evoked. That type of gratitude practice can reshape thought patterns. You Okay, so is this a new age self-help fad? Oh no, neuroscience suggests otherwise. Gratitude is an evolutionary emotion as old as humankind, and it was used as a means of survival back in the hunter-gatherer days. It motivated prehistoric humans to move on to the next possible successful opportunity to eat or sleep in safety. And you can, sorry for the background train noise. Oh, gratitude matters. It turns what we have into enough. It also enhances your mood and it builds stress resilience. It strengthens our relationships, reduces stress, anxiety, and depression, and promotes empathy and optimism. Next slide. And to further talk about the benefits of gratitude, here's a list of some physical benefits. It improves sleep, lowers stress, and reduces inflammation. Lowers the risk of heart disease by reducing the chronic high cortisol levels. And there was a 16% reduction in pain when gratitude was practiced in a consistent way. And that percentage increased in the study participants as the practice was regularly incorporated into participants' lives. And you can advance. And we're not done yet with the benefits. There's social and relational benefits of gratitude. Algo et al. In 2010 concluded that gratitude changes our perception of the world. And it's this change of perception that's going to strengthen our social bonds and reinforce our connections with others. And remember, social connection is one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine that promotes brain health. And you could advance. Okay, so how do these benefits take place? Listen carefully. Gratitude engages the prefrontal cortex, but it promotes growth and plasticity in the hippocampus, where memory and learning take place. And here's how they work together. When you reflect on gratitude, your prefrontal cortex evaluates the experience and attaches a positive meaning to it. The memory gets encoded in the hippocampus, and over time, this repeated circuit strengthens connections between thinking, emotion, and memory, thus essentially rewiring your brain to more easily access a positive emotional state. And you can advance, please. And just to highlight two more important research studies, Kin et al. In 2016 provided the first neuroimaging evidence that a sustained gratitude practice leads to increased gray matter and enhanced brain function. And Andrew Huberman in 2021 to 2023, he is a neurobiologist out of Stanford, and he's kind of famous. He has a podcast. He's kind of famous. He has a podcast. That's how I just sounded to myself. He showed that social gratitude rewires emotion circuits. And you can advance. Thank you. So is this just toxic positivity? No, gratitude does not ignore pain. It integrates appreciation alongside life's challenges. It reframes adversity without denying. And in a authentic gratitude practice enhances realism. It doesn't force cheer. You can advance. Oh, and is there a specific gratitude protocol that I would like to recommend and for you to follow? Yes, there is. And it's called the Huberman's Gratitude Protocol, grounded in science, because remember, he's the neurobiologist who does a bunch of research in his lab out of Stanford. So here's his protocol. There's 5 steps total. So bear with me. Duration for 1 to 5 minutes, at least 3 to 4 times per week. In step 1, recall a specific story of gratitude, not something that you did for someone, but when someone did something meaningful for someone else. You observed it and you felt moved by it. Step 2, recreate that feeling that you had as you were observing that event. Visualize as the event unfolded. Hear what was being said. Feel and sense the emotional tone of that event. In step 3, you're going to reflect on what it meant and how it connects to your values. And you can advance. In step 4, you're focusing on your breathing. You're slowing your breathing down as that emotion fills your body. This is lasting 1 to 2 minutes. And the last step is to repeat consistently. Remember, 3 to 4 times per week. And again, it's the felt emotion that creates the change in your brain. It's not a list that creates a change. So why does this protocol work? Well, the brain doesn't rewire from ideas. It rewires from felt emotion, such as empathy. A gratitude list keeps you in your thinking brain, while reflecting on a story engages the feeling brain. And remember, the brain rewires from felt emotion, not ideas. And that felt gratitude activates deeper brain circuits. And you could advance, please. Okay, so just to share a gratitude story that I use in my daily gratitude practice so that you kind of get what I mean. My 10-year-old granddaughter is a little shy and has some difficulty making friends. Recently, I observed her wonderful teacher facilitating a get to know you type of game between Luna, my granddaughter, and a new student in her grade. Luna was dying to meet this girl and become friends with her, but she just didn't know how to do it. So this facilitating of the get to know you game led Luna and the new student to make an instant connection in that moment, which led to becoming now best friends. And I observed this. So repeating the Huberman steps, step 1, again, get your gratitude story example. And it's not something you did for someone, but when someone did something meaningful for someone else and you felt moved by it. So in my example, the teacher did something for my granddaughter. I observed it and felt moved as I was observing it. So now as I reflect on this story, I'm recreating the feeling that I had in the moment. I'm visualizing the events. I see Luna's face, the other girl's face, the teacher's face. I'm hearing what was said, and I'm definitely channeling the emotion of the event. And then I'm connecting what everything meant to my own values. So in this instance, the teacher's kindness and advocating for Luna touched me so deeply because I felt that she was taking care of Luna and nurturing her. And anyone who does that for my granddaughter is top notch. So, and as I'm reflecting on this, I'm slowing down my breathing so that this emotion, and I was really overcome with emotion as I watched it because Luna is smiling. She's actually having a meaningful interaction with a girl. I know how much this meant to Luna. So I'm letting all that fill my body as I'm breathing slowly. And then I reflect on this story 3 to 4 times a week, if not every day. And again, it's that felt emotion that creates the change in your brain. And you can advance, Kathy. And just some practical tips on how to integrate gratitude into daily life. Pair your gratitude practice with other routines that are already established in your life, such as your morning coffee, journaling, or maybe even your bedtime routine. You could start or finish exercise routines with a gratitude practice, and be aware in daily life for new gratitude stories to reflect on. So maybe you're at the grocery store and you observe someone paying it forward for someone who didn't have enough money, and I'm sure that would be moving. And then use gratitude cues, set reminders in your phone, schedule a gratitude practice in your calendar, use photos to inspire and facilitate your daily practice. So I'm going to show you a photo that I have displayed in my living room and anytime I look at it, I can immediately go into a gratitude practice that lasts 1 to 5 minutes. So, oh wait, my background is blurred. So hold on 1 second. Oh man, is that gonna bomb? I hope not. Wow, look at those IT skills. Whew, I'm in the wrong profession. So this is a picture of Luna when she was a little younger, her pets, Buzzies and Blossom. Luna had a really bad day and she just kind of collapsed sadly into bed. And her pets, sensing her sadness, just immediately surrounded her to comfort her. And I witnessed that. And it really moved me. And I was forever grateful that these two characters could do that for her. And she immediately felt better. So, can you have gratitude for pets? Sure. As long as whatever event you're observing moves you, then that's your gratitude story that you're going to reflect on. Okay. Last but not least, thank you for your attention. And I really hope you found this interesting. In my daily practice of seeing patients in my brain health clinic, I often hear that, gratitude lists become kind of repetitive, redundant, and like what are we over time are we supposed to grow our list from 10 things that we're thankful for to 1,500 things 6 years later? That doesn't seem practical. And remember, that's kind of just habit tracking versus really emotional learning, which is what this new gratitude practice is all about. So it's not that lists are bad, it's just that they're a little limited. And what you're going to do is get the brain health benefit because of the biochemical changes that occur in your brain, which is from that emotional learning. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you, Adrienne. I love the personal stories. I think that allows us to make those connections to similar events that we all personally have shared. And it kind of connects the dots of how that is a practice of gratitude. So I love that you shared your personal stories. Love the picture of the cat and the dog. I can very much relate to that with our cat and dog. It is our furry friends are a big part of our lives and do make us happy. So Appreciate that. I know there were a couple of comments or questions in the chat box regarding your presentation. If that could be shared, absolutely. Anybody is welcome to receive that. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to send that along. And that will also count for these recipes that Laura will be going over here in just a moment. I have those delicious recipes as well that she shared with me that I'm happy to pass on to anybody interested. So on that note, Adrienne, thank you very much. We're going to pivot and turn it over to Laura to give us some healthy tips for the holiday season and show us some wonderful recipes. I'm excited. Laura, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you, Adrienne. That was a wonderful presentation on gratitude. I love talking about gratitude practice. It's been so helpful for me dealing with hard things, turning to my gratitude practice, that I strongly encourage it to everybody if they can find little ways to find it even throughout the day. Or I love sharing with other people what I'm grateful for them about, and that's like such a gift to other people, and I love hearing that myself, and that's just a feeling you can get instantly. So thank you, Adrienne, for that. That was wonderful. Now we're going to get into the cooking. Welcome to my kitchen. You'll see me buzzing around here while I'm doing the demo, which is how I usually am. I'm buzzing around the kitchen. And we're going to be focusing on Thanksgiving sides. And this is exciting. I grew up in a half vegetarian family, so the sides were like everything on Thanksgiving. We can, you know, the turkey was there, but it was the sides that really made Thanksgiving special. And when we talk about Thanksgiving in context of brain healthy eating, sometimes people can get a little like, oh, Thanksgiving's supposed to be those, you know, really indulgent foods. And I always say, you know, this is a great time to have your favorites, have them in moderation, but also fill your table with color. When I want people to understand brain health, I want them to think of colorful foods. And that's exactly what Thanksgiving is. It's these beautiful oranges and reds and greens and all this bounty of vegetables that we're going to make some delicious recipes with today. So our theme is kind of really having a lot of color and some really gentle cooking techniques. So we don't want to be using deep fried things and heavy creams and butters. Those are all high inflammatory foods. We're going to have gentle cooking methods and all those brain healthy ingredients to really make them shine. So we are going to start with cranberry sauce. So if you guys can see my cooking demo here, I have the ingredients for cranberry sauce, which is my favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner. I love the cranberry sauce, which typically has a whole bunch of sugar in it. It's about a cup of sugar for a 12-ounce bag of cranberries, which is really high. And I'm going to show you a recipe that we still keep a little sugar in there, but we take it down and really heighten the flavor and make those cranberries, those tart cranberries, shine. So we're going to start. I'm going to move my camera a little bit over here so you guys can see my pot here. And I'm just going to get my pot going. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of dissolve all of our liquids with that little bit of sugar we're using. So we're going to, I have just 2 tablespoons of sugar. So I do like a teeny bit of sugar in cranberry sauce because it helps give it that little gelatinous taste, because the lectin in the berries will bind with the sugar, and that's how you get that more jammy taste, which is really good with cranberry sauce. So we're going to add that to our pot. And a little bit of water to dissolve. Ooh, that got hot. All that sugar. Okay. And then I'm going to use maple syrup. So maple syrup has the same amount of sugar as table sugar per gram. It's about the same, but it's sweeter. Maple syrup is actually sweeter, so we can use less of it, if that makes sense. So 1 cup of sugar is about the equivalent of the sweetness of like a half a cup of maple syrup, but we're just using a 1/4 cup. I'm just using a little bit. Okay, so we're having probably about 1/3 the amount of sugar that would normally be in a cranberry sauce here. I'm just going to whisk that all together. Okay, and then I'm going to add some really good flavoring agents. Again, we really want those cranberries to shine. They're so bright and indulgent and delicious. So I'm going to add a little bit of orange juice in there. And I like doing that with berries or any kind of colored fruit or vegetable, because the acid really helps that color stay bright instead of getting more dull. So it really brightens everything up. So anything with a little bit of acid, so citrus or a little vinegar, something like that. The next thing we're going to add is some orange zest and some fresh grated ginger. And I love the ginger and cranberry combination. And zest just really makes everything taste a little brighter and a little bit more delicious. Oh, so I got that going. That's at a nice little boil, if you can see that there. And then I'm just going to add in my fresh cranberries here. So cranberries, well, all berries are the only fruit that really has a strong tie to protecting our brain, a direct link to protecting our brain. So they are very, very important in a brain healthy diet. And what better chance to really make them shine than on Thanksgiving, right? So this is what I love about cranberry sauce too, is it's so simple. We're gonna put everything in, let this come to a simmer for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then it's done. And it's so easy. This is a great one you can make ahead of time and just keep in the fridge, serve it cold or room temperature. Okay.
And Laura?
Yeah.
There was a question that came through if you could substitute the syrup with honey instead.
Absolutely. Yes. Great suggestion. Yes, absolutely use honey. Honey has, it's actually even some honey is a little bit sweeter than maple syrup too on the vector scale. So kind of play around with it. I always tell people, you know, sweetness is it's a taste we train, right? Just kind of like salt. So if you like things really sweet, then, you know, reducing the sugar slightly maybe works for you. If you're not a big sweet tooth person, you can go really tart. So yeah, absolutely. Honey is a great substitute, or any other alternative sweetener you can absolutely try and use. So once that's all cooked up and cooled, you get this beautiful, jammy, bright red, colorful cranberry sauce. And this is so good. This will be eaten up in my house in no time. Okay. So now that we have our cranberry sauce done, we can definitely put that aside. That's all done. We're going to make a really delicious side dish that's full of all sorts of brain healthy nutrients. And I love it because it's a great combination of lots of different foods. So I like it. So if I'm going to be going to someone's house for Thanksgiving, I know there's a dish there that's going to be really nutritious and not heavy. And I know there'll be something that I'll want to eat. It's also great because it's such a big side dish that you don't need to make a lot of other ones, which is what I do in my house. I make a couple sides. I don't go crazy with them. So this is a layered sweet potato mash. And we're going to just put a lot of fun things in there. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is roast some sweet potatoes. I like to roast them in the skin, basically because then I don't have to peel them. Just one less step, right? Kind of locks in some flavor. So I'm just going to cut off the ends there and cut them in half lengthwise. And these are going to go in the oven. Okay, I have a parchment lined pan here. When you use parchment, you don't need to use any oil or anything like that. So we can just throw those straight in the oven, okay, like that. And these are going to roast for 30 or 40 minutes, depending on the size. So sweet potatoes, if you guys notice, just when you're trying to figure out how many to serve people, they can be gigantic in the grocery store. You know, sometimes you're like, what is this? Or they can be really small. So if it's a smaller potato, it might be one small potato per person. If they're larger, a serving is maybe a half of sweet potato per person. Just a good way to gauge how many to make. Okay, so that's going to go in the oven. Here. And once they're done, I have a couple here. They're nice and roasty there, and they're going to be very easy to just get out of that skin. So I have some I've already mashed up in there, but you can just squeeze them right out. Can you guys see here? Let me move this over just a little bit. Okay, perfect. And they'll squeeze out very easily. And you can use hand immersion blender or a little mixer, or I just use a fork, especially if they're very tender, to just fork smash them. Okay. Now you can flavor these up in so many different ways. And that's what I love about sweet potatoes. They can go in so many directions. You could add cinnamon and nutmeg. You could add some chili powder. You could keep it really savory and add in some nice sage. It's endless. Kind of go with what your flavor profile is. I like to just keep these very, very simple. I'm going to add in a little bit of orange juice, again, to just keep that color really bright, adding a little bit of citrus and a little sprinkle of salt and just a little drizzle of olive oil. So olive oil is also a super brain protective fat source. So we love using this for almost all of our cooking. Anything we can, we're going to use some extra virgin olive oil in particular. Okay. And you just a little bit can go a long way, and it becomes really silky and flavorful. Okay. And it's that simple. So we have our base here of our nice mashed sweet potato. Beautiful color there. Oh, I love this. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to cook up some stuff to go with this whole little layer of sweet potato we're doing. So I'm going to move you guys back over here. And we're going to make some onion, some caramelized onion to go in this, because caramelized onion to me is such a good like Thanksgiving taste. It's so decadent and a little bit sweet and super, super easy to add some complex flavor to it. So I'm going to use caramelized red onion. Again, just going for some beautiful color. Ooh, I guess I didn't need to move you guys over quite yet. There we go. So these, since it's going to be in a casserole, we're going to cut these into kind of a medium-sized dice. So they're nice and easy to take a bite of. When you're making a dish, you always want to think, how is this going to be for the bite? Is it going to be messy or hard to eat? You know, you want it to be an enjoyable, easy bite. So we're just going to cut that into nice little medium dice there. And then we're going to add this to the pan with a little bit of our extra virgin olive oil and get that sauteing up or caramelized. So we don't want that heat too high, but just get it going. I can hear that sizzle going. And anytime you're doing caramelized onion, you don't want them to get a little burnt, right? Onion can very easily get overcooked, and you want to continuously stir it. Or, you know, you can walk away a little bit, but stay close to it and keep that heat at medium low. You don't want that heat to be too high, because then it will start overcooking those onions. And another thing about onions is that they're a prebiotic food, meaning they're really good for that gut bacteria. We definitely want help with that Thanksgiving. If we're eating a little bit more than we normally would, we want to really be kind to that belly and give it some good nutrients. So onions are a great one. And these, should let them cook down a little bit more, but for the sake of moving along, I'm going to add a little bit of that acid that I talked about, again, to keep that kind of that really pretty red color bright. Where is my acid here? Oh, here it is. Just a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Just a little bit. And I'm going to flavor this with some dried herbs. I'm going to use some thyme here. You could use some sage, rosemary. You could do just a little salt and pepper, but, you know, play with the flavors that you like. And just mix that together. The thing I love about onions, you could be cooking nothing else but onions, and people will say, oh, it smells so good. You guys can't smell this, but it smells so good. Okay, it just starts right there. To me, this smells like Thanksgiving with those herbs and onion going. Okay. So we let that go ahead and cook down. I'm going to move on to our next layer. So we would keep that going. I'm going to move it over to another dish. And we're going to do our second to last thing for this dish. We're going to do some sauteed kale. Okay. Which, if you guys are familiar with the MIND diet or brain healthy eating, leafy green vegetables are kind of a powerhouse on the MIND diet and for brain health. And what the research shows is that people who eat about 1 cup a day of leafy greens, cooked, raw, salads, whatever, had the cognitive abilities of someone 7.5 years younger, which is crazy. It's huge, right? So we definitely want to include these in our Thanksgiving dinner. You could do a salad. I love salads, but we're going to cook up some greens. I love kale. Typically the darker the green, the more nutrient dense, more of those carotenoids we're going to get. But I always tell people, just eat your favorite, you know, try and get in with the things you like. I like kale because it's very sturdy too, holds up well. And you'll see how quickly this will cook down. So I just had a little bit of that olive oil and shredded kale. Again, thinking of people eating it, I don't want those big leaves. Nice and shredded is a great way to do that. And this I'm going to keep really simple. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. Okay? Just a little bit. Again, salt to your taste. And we let that cook on down. Okay. This is just about there. I'm going to remove it off the heat, and we'll get ready for our last layer in this dish. This is going to be our topping on the dish, and it is some toasted nuts, because nuts are another brain health nutrient and MVP on a lot of the Mediterranean and Mind diets. Yeah, that's it yelling at me for. And we're going to lightly toast them, because that really just really helps bloom all the flavors in nuts. So you can do this in the oven. I always like to do it stovetop. Because I like to keep an eye on them. Like, you know, if anyone's left them in the oven and they burn, and I've done that too many times. So I like to do it on the stovetop. You don't have to add a lot of oil. I like a little bit to get that really savory taste to it. And I'm going to use some sliced almonds here. Pecans go really well with this dish too. Kind of, you know, walnuts. You can pick what your favorite nut is, or what works for the people that you're serving in your crowd you have here. Looking for my little serving utensil. Okay. And you're just going to get those. What's going on here? Okay. And we're going to just toast those up. These will just take a couple minutes. Same with the onions. You don't want to walk away from nuts. For what I said, they can really quickly burn. As soon as you see them start getting a little bit golden, that's when it's time to take them off, because they'll continue to kind of cook once you remove them. So continuously mixing them around, letting them get a little bit fragrant and golden. And again, I like to add just a little bit of salt. You don't have to. Nuts, I don't think, need a lot of salt, but just adding a little bit to each step is really a great way to develop that flavor. Okay. So we have our toasted nuts. We have all of our things made here. Okay. And now we're going to assemble these ingredients. So again, we have all those bright, beautiful colored vegetables, and we're going to make a delicious little layered dish with it. So normally if I was making a big pot of this, I would get like a casserole pan or something that was the appropriate size, that I can assemble the whole thing, put it in the fridge, make it a day or two ahead of time, and just warm in the oven on the day of Thanksgiving, right? Take about 20 minutes to warm it. Today, I'm just going to show you a little serving here in a bowl, just showing you how easy it is to put together, because you don't need to warm it in the oven. You can absolutely just have it ready to go if you cook it that day. Okay. So we're going to start with the layer of the beautiful sweet potato, nice and creamy. Okay. Again, seasoned however you like it. Okay. And then next we're going to do a little layer of those red onions, the caramelized red onions. I just use my hands a lot here. I know probably could use serving utensils, but I'm a get in there and get messy kind of cook. Okay, so we have those beautiful red onions on there. Then we're going to add some of that bright green kale. You can do this, and you could put the kale first and the onions. It's kind of up to you. I just love some of my favorite food combinations is the kale and sweet potato. I love those contrasting flavors with like the slightly bitter and the sweet, and then the creaminess and the bite you get. Okay.
And Laura, a question came through. Would there be another leafy green that you could use in place of the kale?
Yeah, absolutely. The ones that would work the best, I would say, would be the little bit sturdier ones. So Collard greens would work great. Dandelion greens, spinach would even work well. Again, just make sure you cut it up into those shreds, just so when you take a bite, it's not, you know, falling down with those big leaves. So the darker the green ones would work the best. So yeah, any of them.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to top it with those toasted almonds. And this gives it that great crunch. Okay. There we go. Nice, beautiful, beautiful little side or big side dish. I love this dish. I'll make a big batch of this, and this tastes so good with turkey if you are eating turkey, and a little bit of gravy and your cranberry sauce, but beautiful color in this dish.
You're making all of us hungry, Laura.
I know it's dinner time. I know. Hopefully everyone has something ready to go. I'm going to make one more for you guys, showing you a really easy, fun one to add to this too, that I like to put up every Thanksgiving, and it's kind of a good kid favorite, but I love them too. And those are popovers. So if you haven't heard of popovers, they are kind of like a quick bun to make, but they're not yeast-based or anything like that. And they're super easy to make, and they taste really good. And they almost puff up like a profiterole or a pastry that is kind of crunchy on the outside, and then it's really soft and airy on the inside. So they're super delicious. And we're going to make an olive oil popover. So they're usually made with a lot of butter, whole milk, white flour. We're going to use olive oil. And when it comes to dairy and brain health, there's not a whole lot of research either way, but I tell people kind of pay attention. If you feel that maybe dairy doesn't work well for your system, you feel a little indigestion, then maybe having a dairy alternative is best for you. And we also just like to recommend having a lower fat dairy, so a 2% milk or 1% milk if you are using dairy. We have a dairy allergy in our house, so I'm using oat milk. And I'm going to show you how we put these together, how simple it is. So it is kind of an eggy bread. So we're going to add in a couple eggs. We're going to add in our milk. Okay. And we're going to add in the olive oil. Okay. So again, normally it's made with butter. We're going to use olive oil, that really good, brain healthy fat. And you can whisk this all together. And you can also use a blender. I do that a lot. I just pour this all in a blender, and then I have the blender to just pour it into my muffin tins or popover pan if you happen to have one. I don't, so I just use a muffin tin. And once those are just nicely incorporated, gets you a good little workout too, all that whisking, right? And then we're just going to add our flour. So I'm using spelt flour here, which is in the whole grain family, but I find it tastes a little bit more like white flour than whole wheat flour, but you can absolutely use whole wheat flour. If you do, I recommend getting whole wheat pastry flour. I find that texture lends much better for this kind of baking. Okay, or you can use white flour. Absolutely, you can use white flour. Okay, just know that when we do use the whole grain, we're getting in a little bit more nutrients, right? Okay. And we'll whisk that in. And I had a little salt in there too, right? Anytime we're baking, you do want to have that salt in there. Okay, we whisk this all together, get a nice silky smooth batter here. And then we're going to pour it into muffin tins. So the key with a popover, which may be a little bit different, if you have bread makers out there, is we want the pan to be hot. So when we preheat the oven, we're going to have the muffin tin in there. Okay, so it gets nice and warm. Okay. And where is this? I'll probably just pour it in there. Oh, there it is. Okay, so once my batter's all good, you do want to oily, so I'm going to, if you have a spray, that will work. Otherwise, we can just use a little bit of a little pastry brush. This is kind of a fun thing I have my kids do. Let's see it here. Just adding a little oil to the rim so it doesn't stick. Okay. And getting that in there. Okay. And then again, I just use a measuring cup and filling these almost to the top, leaving a little bit of room. They're called popovers because they will pop up. They pop up nice and high. And again, as I said, they get nice and airy and light in the middle and get a little bit of a crust on the outside. They're really delicious. So they're fun to watch in the oven. Just watch them poof right up. And these are fun because you can really customize these to make them sweet or savory. You could add a little caramelized onion and black pepper in there. You could add a little feta and cranberry sauce, an apple butter into the center of it, and really just kind of make them a little bit different and fun. Okay. So then these will go in the oven at 425 for about 15 minutes, and that helps them puff up and get a little bit crispy. And then you put the oven temperature down to 350 and let them cook another 15 minutes. So it's kind of easy to stay a little bit close to the oven, but other than that, they come out wonderful. And here we go. Obviously, they don't cook that fast. I'd made a batch earlier, but you get these really pretty golden buns that are a little bit eggy and decadent. And then they have this like this little fluffy inside, very light filling. So I love to take these and, you know, put in my cranberry sauce and my sweet potato I just made and some turkey, or dip it in things. They're really fun and easy to have on the table there. So there are all of our really delicious sides.
Beautiful. So question that came through, Laura, could you use ground flax for those popovers? Either adding it to the flour or something, you know, to make sure you get that fiber intake. Would that work, or would it make it too heavy?
Are we talking about flax in place of egg for people who don't eat eggs?
I think it, to just add it to the flour. So I guess maybe to.
Yeah, so yes, to answer your question, you absolutely could add some ground flax. So like a flax flour or flax meal. If you're used to flax, I'm guessing whoever asked this question is, and so it has a little bit of a distinct flavor. So just know that will be in there, but you absolutely could. If you're trying to use it as an egg replacer, you could do that as well. It probably just wouldn't get as puffy. Okay, they maybe wouldn't pop as much without the egg to help raise them. Yeah.
And Laura, I have to say, I'm hungry now. This just watching you cook these amazing, delicious meals. For those who wants to learn more about the Mind Diet, healthy recipes, and you know how to incorporate these into our lives, what are the things that you're working on these days?
That's a great question. So we have lots of resources on our website, theofficialminddiet.com, where we have recipes and different things for helping you track and follow the Mind Diet and learning about the Mind Diet. We do a monthly or sometimes bi-monthly newsletter that we send out with cooking tips and strategies and latest research in brain health. And that's free to anybody, and you can just sign up for a newsletter. And we love to share this information and announce any workshops that we're doing. We put in there. We also have a Mind Diet course for brain health, where we cover everything in great detail and have lots of cooking demonstrations and things like that on these brain healthy foods. And we also do live programs and, as I said, different workshops. So, and please email us if you have questions. We love to answer your emails and see if we can answer your questions and help you in any way.
So inspiring, Laura, to see how you are amplifying your mother's work and life work, which has so much contributions to science, to the way we eat, to the way we. But actually, the missing link in your mother's work was exactly what you're doing now, right? Which is tell us how to incorporate this in our life. So it's beautiful to witness how you continue her legacy in a way that is inspiring all of us. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. That means so much to me. We loved cooking, my mom and I. So she would usually sit and watch. Sometimes I could give her a task, but we loved being in the kitchen and cooking and talking about nutrition science. Some people don't love that. We love that,
Can tell you love cooking. I mean, it shows in the screen. And I also want to say thank you to Adrian. I haven't a chance to say before, Adrian, your presentations was again so inspiring and so touch my feelings in a way in which you brought science to something that is so meaningful, and so it sounds easy to do and to follow, but actually inspire me to actually incorporate that in my life. So thank you for what you do, and tell us more about the brain health clinic that you run.
Well, the Brain Health Clinic, I see patients for visits virtually or in person, usually for an hour, sometimes 30 minutes if it's a return visit. It's a clinic where we discuss the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, and that's our model for obtaining brain health. I do a lifestyle assessment. We work on goals together. And every time that I see you, we're reassessing each of those lifestyle pillars, seeing where you're at, what are the barriers to obtaining your goals, what's working out well. We capitalize on what's working out well and just continue to build healthy lifestyle habits, but just making small changes because those are the most sustainable changes. So come see me.
Excellent. Well, thank you both of you for being here. And, it's truly an honor seeing you work. And Kathy, I pass it up back to you. And what are we doing in December?
Yeah, so we'll have one more webinar for this year. That will be our last one. And we will be discussing how to adhere to lifestyle modifications. So what leads to success with lifestyle modifications? We will have actually Laura's partner, Jennifer Ventrelli, who will be one of our speakers for that session, as well as Jennifer Urch, who is a nurse practitioner, kind of going over some typical recommendations that she gives patients in clinic. So that will be held on December 8th. And as I mentioned, that will be our last session for 2025. So hope we'll have all of you back with us for that last session. I do want to just point out, I put the website to Laura's the official Mind Diet website in the chat box. But if there are any questions that come up after the fact, and for those who are interested in either Adrienne's presentation or the recipes that Laura just shared with us, feel free to reach out to me. I did put my email in the chat box as well. If you forget and you end up emailing back to the Zoom, I will get that as well. It will trickle on over to me. So don't feel shy about reaching out. I'm happy to send that out to everybody. Hope everyone has a fantastic evening. I'm sure everybody's super hungry at this point. I know I am. Delicious items that you cooked up for us, Laura, and I love that it's quick and easy. You whip that out in 25 minutes. Pretty impressive. So hopefully everybody is inspired for Thanksgiving. So thank you both of you for a great session.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Good
Bye.
night.